Hi, this is TV comedy impressionist Christopher G from the other side of the pond saying hi, and I love the Queen Silvy show.
Today on the Queen Silvy Show, an eclectic, quirky pop rock band of international musicians. Join me for an extraordinary journey into the world and music from the group band leader, producer, singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and author Byron Lee Scott of Harmony Dreamers.
Welcome to the Queen Silvy Show. Tune in at 11, good laugh, good vibe, that's for sure. Get smooth with Tim, get smooth with Tim. They have you rolling like you popped the pill. Once you hear the show, you ain't gonna want it to end. Get creative with the sounds you can make with your mouth. Reaching all over the world, Queen Silvy in the house. Award-winning show, got the #1 spot, look out. It's the Queen Silvy Show, 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 it's the Queen Silvy Show.
Hi, this is Joe Mass. You are listening to the Queen Silvy Show. You are now part of the royalty.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live, it's time for the silky smooth sounds of Smooth Tim and Her Majesty herself, Queen Silvy.
Hey, it is Smooth Tim, and thank you for spending another terrific Tuesday with us on the Queen Silvy Show, and more importantly, spending your 4th of July. And I hope you all have a great time tonight. Just, hey, watch the kiddos and watch yourselves. But on to better things, let me bring on to the set the most beautiful woman in the world, the sexiest granny in the world, the Queen herself, Queen Silvy.
Yes, it is me. I'm all that and so much more, but hey, it is what it is, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in this great world today. Yes, I am Queen Silvy of the multiple award-winning The Queen Silvy Show. Before I go any further, on this 4th of July, I have to have a shout-out and a happy birthday to my son. LP was born today, little firecracker, on this 4th of July. So, hey, shout out to you, my son. Shout out to me, too, because it's my birthday, too. I mean, it's the day I gave birth, right? Okay, well,
All right, you're right.
send all gifts to... No, just kidding. But I am honored that you are here on this terrific Tuesday. You are so in for some super greatness indeed. Smooth, how are you today?
I am doing terrific on this Tuesday, Queen, and might I ask, how are you doing?
Well, if you don't know now, you know I'm supercalifragilistic.
Expialidocious, I suppose, is 24/7, 365. Queen Silvy, you are just simply
I know. Amazing.
And a firecracker for the 4th.
Double true that.
Double true that.
Double true that. Yes, I am amazing. Let's keep it real. But you are amazing, Smooth. You are amazing. Our guest is amazing, as well as some great announcements.
I can't wait, as you said at the in your intro video, that from Harmony Dreamers Music by Byron Scott. That should be interesting to talk to that guy. He's very diverse in his music, so I think y'all are really going to enjoy it.
Very talented.
Also, as always, our hearts and prayers are going out around the world. There's all kinds of things, internationally, domestically, and what can be said except faith over fear.
That's right.
Hey, people, we will get past all this, and we always do. Just eventually take time and keep the faith.
Yes.
Okay, also, you know what? Because you're worth it, Foxy 5 Jewelry. Sassy, elegant, and affordable fashionable jewelry and accessories for you and or that someone special. Go ahead and get a hold of Monica Wright on Facebook, or go to her website at www.foxy5jewelry.com.
That's right.
Another way to keep up with the Queen and myself, if you look at the top of the screen, you'll see scrolling www.thequeensylvyshow.com. Also, YouTube. And if you go to our
Everywhere.
if you go to our webpage, you go ahead and get to the contact tab and scroll on down and drop in your email. If you go to YouTube, simply Google, or can't Google, we are Googleable.
We are.
But in the search engine of YouTube, type in The Queen Silvy Show. You'll get the results of all 3 of our shows, as well as some other projects that the Queen and I work on. So if you're there, we would really appreciate it. Would you subscribe? Let's see, what else we got going on? How about some analytics from our last week's show? Mexico, Finland, the United Kingdom, Denmark, Spain, Canada, Australia, Norway, Sweden, and the US of A. Thank you, folks. Appreciate y'all.
We certainly do. In fact, if you're watching this live, I want you to know that Smooth and myself, hey, we love and appreciate you. And if you're watching this later on an archive, say, whoa.
Our love is everlasting.
Our love is everlasting. We love and appreciate you on this terrific Tuesday. The multiple award-winning The Queen Silvy Show, as Smooth said, hey, you are more than welcome to call and ask our guest a question. Give a shout out or holler at Smooth or myself. I just simply might holler back at you, but you can handle it. That number is 817-602-0577. That is the number to The Queen Silvy Show. I'm honored that you are here. You do have time to be kind and spread the word for someone else to come on in and get some of this super greatness. So before I get things going, what I would like to do at this moment is I'd like to share some motivational words from The Queen Silvy Show to you. Don't let others decide who you are. Be yourself and create your own unique style. You know, life has no limitations except for the ones that you make. So don't limit your challenges. Challenge your limit. I mean, after all, no one is you, and that is your superpower. Yeah. And those are some motivational words from The Queen Silvy Show to you. Yeah, baby. Yeah. You know, I'm getting myself all geeked and hyped right now because I'm looking forward to this great conversation from my wonderful guests. But I am also looking forward to giving some shout outs to my great deserving kings and queens from all over the world like you. Kinsley Patino, Queen Jenna, Queen Ashley Follette Clark, and Kenneth Rouse.
Shout out to you.
The Helen Myers, Peace Myers, Corey and Casey Patino, and Joan Mercer.
Shout out to you.
You like my voice? I do too. Queen Aaliyah, Asia, Tay, Maya, Camille, and Dejour.
Shout out to you.
To Cynthia and LP. Queen Sonia, Kaki, Shanika, Brianna, Alana, and Precious.
A shout out to you.
Hold on, let me clear my throat. There. Shout out to you, Kelly and Ryan, and the All-American Boys, Matt and Tracy, and the All-American Girls. Hey.
Shout out to you.
To Patricia Wilhelm McGiffin, Pamela Anderson, C. Shorty Franklin, Renita Easley, Gold Rosa, and Donna Ferry.
Shout out to you.
To my good friends in Africa, Amy Kanima, Websterito, Hostile Flow, Hero Boy, and Princess Ariel Lua.
Shout out to you.
To Robin Taylor, DJ Team Broke 100. To my good queens, my good friends over in United Kingdom, Beth Lambert, Nicola Jones, Bethany Jones, and Kay Cross.
Shout out to you.
Ooh, I love my voice. To Lorenzo Gabaniza, Christine Lewis Anderson, James and Audrey, Serious Edition.
Hola, amigo.
To Nana, Linda Hartley, Edith Verhoek, Queen D. Brown.
Shout out to you.
Sandra and Ben Johnson, Melody Gorb Dodds, Miguel Montalban, Brian Pearson, and my good friend Joe Mass.
Tomo arigato.
That's right. Hey. If you would love to be shouted out, if you have someone that you would love for us to represent and shout out, we would gladly do that 3 days a week, every Tuesday, with the multiple award-winning The Queen Silvy Show every Wednesday, with Tim's Tidbits, special co-host Larry E. out of Dallas, Texas, and every Thursday with the Now You Know Show with Queen Silvy and Smooth Tim. As we bring the best in live entertainment, talents, and topics and resources from around the world just for you. Check out this resource, and when we get back, let's get the ball rolling, let's groove, let's jam on The Queen Silvy Show. Join me every Tuesday for fun and games and play for cash. That's right. Sylvia Mint, the fun word guessing game is back, and you can come aboard and play. It's simple. Just email us your name and contact information, and you are in there, baby. Yeah.
Oh, all right, Queen.
Hey, Queen was having one of those hot flashes that I get every now and then. Yeah, but I'm glad that you are here on this terrific Tuesday, the multiple award winning The Queen Silvy Show. As I said before, you have time to be kind and spread the word for someone else to come on in and get some of this super greatness we have in store for you. With an with an eclectic, quirky pop song. What the heck? With an eclectic, quirky pop rock band of international musicians with exceptional talent. Debuting their first album entitled Harmony Dreamers, I Come From Earth, which is soaring charts worldwide. I introduce to you band leader, producer, singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and author, Byron Lee Scott.
Hello.
Good day to you.
Wow, that's a long list of things there.
Well, it tied my tongue up at the beginning. I'm like, what the what?
Wow, that's a whole lot of verbiage.
Hey, before I go any further, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes, that's my work things. I would add to that: poet, philosopher, spiritual seeker, and just a nice guy. Really,
Wow.
I try to do that.
I love it. Poetry too. What?
Uh-huh.
So listen, before I go any further, I would like to give a shout out to my good friend Michael Stover of MTS Management. He is doing some great things, and we appreciate him indeed. But now, where are you currently? Where am I talking to you from?
I am in Siem Reap, Cambodia, believe it or not. And
Wow.
there's a thunderstorm going on here. I hope if we lose you, I'll come back. But yeah, I've been traveling in Asia. I'm coming back to USA in about a week to hang out with my best friend and drummer,
Wow.
Larry Dragland. And yeah.
You've traveled
So,
around
Cambodia.
quite a
these
bit.
asides,
He has explained
Yeah.
explain Cambodia to us.
well, it's a great place. It's an amazing place. It's inexpensive to live. Well, the city I'm in, Siem Reap, is home of Angkor Wat Temple, which is the world's largest temple, and they get 3 million tourists this year. They're expecting coming here. Some interesting people come here from all over the world.
Oh, I'm
I've
sure.
met a lot of I've been here about 4 months. I just retired from the work world recently, and I took a couple of stops and then heard about this place and came to check it out. But and I may come back, but it's a cool place. I'm gonna miss the cheap food here. I can get it stir fries and curries delivered to my door for $3, and
Wow.
and nice people here. Nice people. I could go on, but yeah, that's where I'm at, Siem Reap, Cambodia. And where are you?
Now, Byron, let me interrupt real quick. Did you go there in to expand your music or in philosophical pursuit?
Well, the philosophical part drew me to this town. Definitely, I've been studying those kind of things, and I have a book, as you know, and that was part of what drew me here. But no, finding a place to live that's warm and cheap that I like, and then maybe come back to the U.S. in the summertime and so I came traveling light, and I've been promoting, though. Our album came out last August, so I'm doing a lot of remote things. And then this first song that we're going to hear, that was just released and written recently. Just kind of a surprise thing that happened. We'll talk about that later. So yeah, it's really just retired, actually, and we'll talk more about that, my career and stuff later, I suppose. But yeah, just exploring the world.
But that's
and
cool.
It's fascinating.
That's cool.
People here are lovely.
That's
People
cool.
are lovely here.
You're a cool kind of guy, anyways, because I know that during the pandemic, you lived in a trailer and did your music and things. Smooth and myself, when we retired, we sold a house, bought an RV, and we traveled for 4 years doing stand-up
did?
comedy and radio. I love camping and traveling things, and I'm like, this guy is
Wow.
a survivor.
Wow.
So that is cool. But enough of all the chitty chatty. What I wanted to begin with is for you to take me back decades back to the younger Byron Lee Scott and tell me what was the first impactful exposure to music.
first impactful exposure. Well, I got my first guitar when I was 4 years old. And before that, I remember having a record player and lots of albums. And I remember this one album that was called Chet Atkins at Home. And it had a picture of him sitting by a stack of gear with a reel to reel recorder and a big guitar in his lap. And I don't know if that was something that made me want to play guitar and his music, but I'm just gonna have to say great music is what inspired me in the very beginning. Stuff, thinking back to when you were a kid, and I try to write music like this now. I think about that feeling of, when you just fell in love with a song, when you were more free, like 10 years old, and there's just something that just really touched you. And so, yeah, I just got to give credit to a lot of great songwriters, and artists and promoters and so forth over the years that inspired me with great music. I just love music now.
Well, Chet Atkins was a good person to grow up on. The guy can play the guitar. I'll give him that.
And he helped a lot of people get started in the music business as well. You want me to tell you a little bit about just the progression from there real quickly? Is that what you were getting at?
Well, you can if you want, but I already know what I'm going to ask you. Hey,
you got the stage.
Oh, well, all right. No, so to answer your question, the first thing, I'm going to have to say that records back then,
Is music in your family?
No, I didn't have a musical family. So
you're the blessing of the family with music.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because music is therapeutic. The best thing in the world to me is music and then laughter. So when you bring that there, hey, you are a total package. I know I've heard that you've written hundreds of songs over the years, but at what point was it for you, Byron, that you decided to really take it seriously and get into the music industry?
Yeah, well, my career is kind of backwards, sort of late blooming, take the long way around. And, the guy that you interviewed from the Welsh Factor, David, he mentioned that when they're grooming young artists, one thing he recommends to them is to get out and practice and go out live and get some experience and get the real feel of what it's like. And so that's what I did for 60 years until I released my first, I'll call it my magnum opus, life's work album. And I wrote hundreds of songs, recorded many of those on my 4-track recorder back in the day. And I memorized and performed thousands of songs, I would say, and learned so much from that, and was inspired by so many people. And then when I was studying songwriting and other things as well over those years, many people and producers inspired me in just small ways, and artists. So practiced for, and then I tried to get into the music industry back before the internet, and I had some rejections, and it just didn't happen. I had a little cassette album when I was touring around with a band, and but I played at every type of venue you can imagine, in so many bands, and so it just took me. Then finally, the internet became available to distribute music and so forth, and it took me a while to decide to do that. And then, as you said, during the pandemic, that's when everything just came together in so many magical ways. And, I just used that time. As you said, I got a travel trailer. I lived off grid on solar and propane.
That's cool, though.
Yep.
Except for the summer of 21, I guess it was, drummer and best friend Larry Draglin. I went to his place in Colorado and spent the summer there. But otherwise, that's when it all came together. So it was just a long series of so many things, that happened. And then, during the album, I did document it as well, and did some interviews about each song and some of the backstories and what happened and so forth. and there are some things in the info descriptions here and there about the songs. But yeah, it was just a long, long, lot of practice and preparation. And now I feel like I could retire now. Really, I know I won't, but yeah, it's kind of a, I will say this. There's a song on our album called No Stopping. And it says, when you're living your dream, no stopping when you're living your dream, whatever that is, there's really only one guarantee. And it never really says what the guarantee is, but I've always thought it was that if you quit, that's the one guarantee. If you quit, it probably won't happen. It might. But then again, it's all about choices, which is what my book, Balance Your Choices, is about: choosing priorities and enjoying life along the way as well.
Mm-hmm.
But so priorities and staying on track is what kept me going, and just I've loved it so much that I never quit, because I love writing songs. Number one, I love recording songs. And when you finish a song, I'm sure you know this, artists out there, when you finish a song sometimes that has a lot of heart and you listen back to it over and over, it's just one of the most special things. That hard to describe the feeling. Yeah, it's finished. I like to, one of the things I like to do is appreciate what I do have in life instead of looking at what I don't have.
Absolutely, that's the right attitude to have.
Because there's so many things, and your definition of success, how do you define success? And so if you're a recording artist and you say, when I get a Grammy or a viral hit or make a lot of money, you might be disappointed, but there's a real positive side to it as well. Just being able to share your music with anybody, and then, like now, to be able to read statistics online and see what countries and what cities have been listening to your music. And
analytics,
even if
nice.
You don't make,
yeah,
and even if you don't make a lot of money from all those, like 1 million streams, and you might make enough like to pay for your artwork for a couple songs,
right.
but and you may never make a profit. On the other hand, though, it's so easy now to share music. And so at least family, friends, and who knows, those people that heard it around the world in these different places, it's rare maybe that you'll get to know who those people are, because building a fan base is tough these days.
Yeah.
You said that was, you said something real interesting, Byron, and I wanted to interrupt you. I've had the occasion
Please.
to run into a couple of exceptional guitarists, Grammy winners, and I asked them, hey, show me a little bit of something. And they would lay down a riff and say, and they told me, and I said, wow. And they go, now you go practice that 1,000 times. And then when you're done,
right,
practice it 1,000 more. And then I'll show you something else. And I didn't catch it at first, and I'm like, I understand what they're saying.
Yeah, Tim's a guitar head too, but you play multiple instruments.
You have to practice.
Oh, by all means.
If you don't, forget about it. You have to have the passion and the love. If you don't, well, then pursue something else.
What other instruments do you play, Byron?
Well, guitar and guitar synthesizer are my main instruments, and vocals. I love playing drums and bass guitar a lot.
Ooh.
And percussion instruments. I do play some keyboard synthesizers, but I'm not super proficient at that, I would say. And so that's mainly it. When I was a kid, I would pick up anything, a harmonica. I learned to play blues harmonica. Haven't done that much lately, but bugle, and then I took trombone in school, but I was mostly following the guy next to me during that period.
That's all right.
Where his slides at?
Right?
What position is his slide in?
Yes, sir, somewhere. I started out playing spoons.
Didn't stick with that one.
Yeah. I started out flicking sticks together and
cool.
and playing spoons together smooth as a guitar head, and I'm wanting to learn
Oh,
bass.
really?
But you're your whole band all
Yeah.
by yourself, Mr. Multi-talented. And
Well,
having
when I was young, oh, you know, I'll add that on in my career when I was young, none of the bands that played originals stuck together long enough for anything to happen, and so I recorded all the parts myself out of necessity, sort of, and then now it's been great to work with other people, during the recording process. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, an interesting point is I remember growing up and when you'd have Battle of the Bands, it was always cover music. A lot of
Oh yeah.
very, very few you would ever hear original music, and they were some very talented individuals. However, cover music was the thing.
Yeah, nobody wanted to pay to hear your originals. It was the cover bands. You know, playing five sets a night, 6 nights a week. I did that for about 10 years, and
Mm.
I played on cruise ships for 5 years, doing 6-month contracts as a solo guitar vocalist with backing tracks that I had to make. Um, and so yeah, cover music though, but I learned so much from that, from memorizing those songs and then just seeing how chords fit together and harmonies and so forth over the years from all of those songs, and I think it was a great experience. And just to have people dancing in front of you when you're playing music or partying is a real fun thing. And when the lyrics are positive and there's some kind of message and they're singing along and you're jamming and they're dancing, you know, that is such a great experience. And so it's not your song, but some of my favorite songs, I want to do some cover songs actually, but I don't know. It's one song at a time,
Yeah,
maybe right now,
yeah.
no rush. But yeah, so that's what people want to hear
But
is
having been
singing along.
involved in music in one way or another for decades, how would you say that your style and your sound has evolved over
Mm.
time?
I think there's been little inspirations from so many artists, and like maybe I would even learn a chord from some hearing some song and saying, "What is that?" Like a 9 chord in Purple Rain or Don't Dream It's Over by Crowded House uses the 9 chords. I love that, And so, or Tina Turner, the way she built her vocals in We Don't Need Another Hero, like she started low, then she went high, then she stayed high, then she went on the bridge higher and stronger. And then the ending with the children's choir, you know, uh, and then uh, what's Michael Jackson's producer? Oh, Quincy Jones.
Mm-hmm.
The way
Mm-hmm.
he ends this, the way he'll bring in high strings at the end that just add another layer. So many things I could go through. Well, my favorite musician, Jan Hammer, the Miami Vice original soundtrack, and Mahavishnu Orchestra, and so many people. But he inspired I learned a lot about chord structure from studying his music and or just listening to him.
Mm.
And then it inspired me also to want to play guitar synthesizer because I love synth sounds a lot. And Jan Hammer with that mini moog sound that he was famous for, and
Mm-hmm.
so many of his sounds. So yeah, a lot of those. There's so many inspirations,
Now you mentioned nine chords.
great
Are you
musicians.
drawn to jazz music?
Not so much. It really just depends on the song. I went through a phase, when I did. And, I'll just add that I learned mostly by ear over the years. When I was a kid, I took some lessons, to learn. I learned some basic chords and things. And then I just started memorizing songs. And as the songs got more complex, and I had to learn things. And then when I started playing with keyboard players, I had to communicate chords with them, and learn the names of some of what I was doing that I didn't even know that was a 9 chord, and slowly theory was given to me, in pieces over the years. And then I read some books about it here and there, about some certain things about improvising jazz. But yeah, I was mostly by ear. When I was a kid, my sisters would read piano, and then I would just sit down and start playing Lady Madonna or some Christmas songs
That's
or
cool.
something, and they just scratch their heads and say, how did you do that? And it was just picking it out by ear, and so yeah, it was a. But jazz, I went through a jazz phase of jazz rock. Well, Jan Hammer, I mentioned Jeff Beck, and so many people back then. But I like melodic things now,
Right.
and I really like nice lyrics. I'm a lyric person, you know. Seems like the mood of the song to me is what it dictates everything. Um, Other than like some of the things I mentioned about building the song from beginning to end, and then using dynamics, crescendos. I don't know where that came from. I think from playing live. I was in some bands that really locked in dynamically, and we would bring it down on the verse when the vocalist was singing quiet, and then we'd have a crescendo, and then just hammer it out on the chorus if they were belting it out, and stay right there with them. And then I learned about those crescendos, how that moves people. I would see people in the audience when we were coming into the chorus and building it up, and then bam, and yeah, so many things influenced it over the years. And I
That's
don't,
good.
I guess you might say I like jazz. Okay, yes, I like jazz.
Okay,
That's a
well,
long
That, that
I
that's
gotta
correct.
answer the
Yeah,
question.
right. So listen, I think that it's that okay. Is Harmony Dreamers the group band or is it the Earth Choir?
No, it's Harmony Dreamers is the name of the project.
Okay.
And the Earth Choir was simply um, 21 backup singers who sing on the title track, I Come From Earth, that were gathered from every continent except for Antarctica.
Well, it's a superb
And
group
so
of musicians and vocalists, like you said, from all over the world. But take me through the formation and the origins of the band. I mean, what was the creative process of doing a collaboration with artists from all over the world?
it started one song at a time with the summer that I spent at my best friend Larry's place, and he's a great drummer, and he had been practicing and had his studio. He's a great audio engineer, also. He had his drums all mic'd and set up, so we did drum tracks. And then one time he said, "This song is great. All it needs is a real bass guitar." And I said, well, maybe. So that was the beginning. And then, also the vocalists. I learned over the years, I used to sing pretty high. And I learned that I actually have a very low bass voice and I can get up there, but I have a strong low range that a lot of people can't get the same fullness. So I decided to on the one song "Pass It On," which has done real well and still is doing well, uh, to bring in a female vocalist to do octaves with me. And Tyler V is amazing. She's on 2 tunes on the album. And then another song, Sophie and Pearl, about two kittens. I wanted a children's vocalist on that one. And I just started looking for female vocalists to complement each song. And I auditioned, I guess you'd say, a lot of people and looked at their range. I wrote down what their range was and where they were, what kind of a style I thought they would fit with. And then there were some I didn't get to work with, but it was each song with the 8 female vocalists, and then I do all the male vocalists. They do octaves and harmonies on most songs. There are 2 tunes that I just didn't sing, and I let them have it. And
So you're
so that
covering the
was the
bass and tenor
vocals, and then
parts?
well, the tenor it varies, but I do real low harmonies. My voice is called a basso bass. I can hit, like on the Sun Part 2, Spinning Around the Sun, that we'll hear later. I'm doing a low C and 3 low harmonies, low bass harmonies on this one chanting part on that song, which is kind of it's a cinematic variation of the single. But yeah, I do all the male vocals, a lot of harmonies, as you might guess, with the name Harmony Dreamers. Uh, and So 4 bass players besides myself on the album, and then we have a clarinet player, 2 percussion players, another drummer besides Larry, vibraphone, and
Mm.
then there's a country version of the title track that's out there,
Right, right.
and steel guitar and dobro on
Mm-hmm.
that tune.
Ooh, I love steel
So
guitar.
it really, oh, this guy's awesome too. He plays both the steel and the dobro, and I let him have the solo sections, and he did accents, and fantastic player. Um, so yeah, it just happened one song and one part at a time. I guess I do a lot of the rhythm instruments. Oh, another one, synthesizer, Lola from Argentina. She was one of the Earth Choir. I met a few of the musicians who ended up being very important on the album through that Earth Choir finding the backup singers on the title track, and one of them was synthesizer player Lola Vicentini.
Mm.
So that's
It's great. It really is great.
it was
Harmony.
it was a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
then getting the 21 backup singers was kind of the icing on the cake. You know, the song I Come From Earth, a global message with a sense of humor. And I know you like humor.
Yeah.
And I try to write tunes with humor once in a while. It's so hard. It's not easy. You know, musicians, we can be so serious sometimes, or all of the times,
We're so
you know, and
dark. So dark.
I love people like Joe Walsh had some funny songs, and Jerry Reed on the country was one of my favorites as a kid. He inspired me in some secret ways, uh, and so yeah,
Well,
I
you
guess
know what?
I'm doing most of
Well, life's been good to you
lot of
so
the
far,
instruments.
right?
It really has. You've been able to collaborate with some
Yeah,
great people worldwide, creating friendships, bringing unity. It's a collection of upbeat,
true.
family friendly original songs all written by you. I think it's really great. Number one in the UK is your children's song. This isn't the first time with you dabbling into children's music, which I think is fantastic. The song is The Most Unheard of Thing. What inspired the creation for this hit song?
This was a real magical synchronistic experience that just happened recently. MTS Management, you know Michael Stover, he
Mm-hmm.
introduced us, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's been with me since about a week before the album was released. I met him, and thank goodness he's been just wonderful. So once in a while, he sends out something that films or TV shows are looking for a certain kind of song, and it's got to be exact. And so there was one that caught my attention, and it said they were looking for a song about something that's unbelievable and astonishing, and I never heard of that. And they said clever wordplay encapsulating the aforementioned.
Mm.
And that's it. They didn't say what the documentary is
Yeah,
about.
boy, that's wide open.
And it was just a real weird request. And somehow it was like a challenge or something. And I wrote some lyrics. And then I said to Michael, "Hey, I got some lyrics for this thing." He said, "Nah, you got to send a song." I said, "Okay, never mind." And then they relisted it. We're still looking. And I went, I think I'm going to try to record this. And then it came together pretty quick. And Michael heard it. He said, "This is a children's hit song. I want to promote this to the children's market." And I said, "Yeah, okay." And then the synchronicity just continued. Um, I needed to get some artwork, to release it as a single, and I was looking for something. And here was this Volkswagen bus with animals hanging out of the top, a giraffe, and all these beautiful animals. And I went, "Oh yeah, that's a kid's." And so then I had to make a video, and I'm thinking, well, what should I do? Hey, let's go with the animals, and then some people around the storyline,
It's
some
great.
interesting people. And so, all in all, it probably was maybe 5 or 6 days work. It spread out over when I was first introduced, and I said to Michael, "Should we wait and see?" Oh, also the documentary they forwarded on to the music director. They said, and Michael said, that's huge if you got past the first hurdle. But I haven't heard anything about that. And I said, should we wait? He said, no, it's your song. Let's get this thing out there. I
It's
said,
a
okay.
great, super
And there it
duper
is.
great song. I'm honored that this to represent this song here on the Queen Silvy Show, the most unheard of thing by the one and only Byron Lee Scott. Let's check it out.
Well, now it's unbelievable. It's inconceivable. Beyond the lyrical, it's like a miracle. The most unheard of thing. The most unheard of thing. The most unheard of thing I ever heard of. I say it's quite a spectacle. It makes me skeptical. I never heard of it. It sounds absurd a bit. The most unheard of thing. The most unheard of thing. The most unheard of thing I ever heard of. The most unheard of thing. The most unheard of thing. The most unheard of thing I ever heard of. Well, right, it's quite astonishing to look upon the thing. It seems impractical. It's too fantastical. The most unheard of thing. The most unheard of thing. The most unheard of thing I ever heard of. The most unheard of thing. The most unheard of thing. The most unheard of thing I ever heard of.
To be honest, just
It's great.
place. Yeah. It took that one. It took like 93 different conglomerations until I got the right one.
Well worth it though. Well
Two
worth
day,
it.
2 days. Yeah, I love it.
So how did that make you feel when you see something you've created, something you've done, your baby, your project gaining recognition, popping on all the charts? What does that personally do for you?
It really doesn't seem real in a way right now. Um, Occasionally, I think when I run into people who've heard it and say something to me about a certain song they like or something like that, it seems more real, and it's starting to sink in. Like we were talking about looking at the statistics, from our distributor and from Spotify and so forth, and like in Brazil, on Spotify, Brazil and Israel are always in our top four with UK and USA, and three different cities in Brazil, Rio de Janeiro, and a couple of other ones. And I'm just fascinated.
That's cool.
I could just wonder who is hearing it.
It is interesting that when you see Sweden and Norway and Australia popping up, and it's like, wow, all over the world, we're getting hits.
Yeah, all of them.
That is so
yeah,
cool.
there's somebody's hearing it. So that's the positive side, because making a profit at doing that part, like you were talking with David is his name, I believe, from the Welsh Factor.
Yes.
About bands that do merchandising, for money and live performance, I suppose, and other ways to make income besides streaming. Because I'll share with you, I had a real realization about this, about the profitability of doing that, and that it's really a lot like it was in the old days, except instead of only 3 or 4 platforms, radio, buy the record, jukebox, live performance, that TV maybe, before cable. So now there are all these places, and there are, as you know, a flood of artists. Spotify, like
Mm-hmm.
100,000 songs every day,
Yeah.
and so and a lot of them may never even be heard, as I understand, or not very much. And so, but what was really a realization to me was uh, thinking of choices. Like my book, Balance Your Choices. The choices that people have now in their free time, let alone the music flood. Now they have this information explosion.
Mm-hmm.
With anything you want to learn online, YouTube mentors, podcasts, porn, I guess, and then video games and gadgets, uh, social media.
Right.
And so the amount of things to choose from in your free time, fortunately, I say music is one of the best, because you can do it while you're doing other things, to almost any mood. You can even use it. People, if you ever have a noise pollution that's bugging you in your neighborhood or in your place, put on some music,
Absolutely.
headphones. It'll
Absolutely.
just calm you right down. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah.
And let me ask you a question. Since you brought up the name earlier, Joe Walsh, Joe made a comment in
Yeah, sure.
regards to today's music. And he says that the young artist basically doesn't have a chance because there's no more major record labels, there's no more promotion, there's no more major
that's
concerts.
changed.
That's all gone. Do you think he's got the right viewpoint on that? That it's a lot more of a struggle, actually, for a person to get themselves out there because they don't have this push?
To make money at just the streaming, or like purchases from iTunes or something like that, it's going to be a tough struggle. But then again, like in the old days, there weren't that many people that had the hit albums, and there were a lot of artists around. So I like to look at the plus side, is that those people in Norway and everywhere else, and Brazil, they get to hear it, and I get to share it with them,
Right.
regardless of the fact that maybe I'm not going to make any money at that. However, I think, just like in the old days, I kind of calculated that if you were just relying on streaming and the purchases that you see, like in my distributor, I figure that if you wanted to make $2,000 a month, and I'm just not sure about this, but I'm thinking 50 million streams a month is what you would need, roughly. And that's 1 month. And that means
Right.
the next month you're back to zero. And so the people that there still are people, I guess, making money. Like I see somebody that has 7 billion streams on their song. And I don't know how many years that was spread out over. But, in order to, I'll just, even to break even, okay, because uh, luckily it's cheaper to do it nowadays. Like in Joe Walsh in the early days, the 4 things you had to do for a record, which is recording, packaging, distribution, and advertising. Well, recording was expensive, packaging was very expensive, distribution was difficult and expensive, and then the promotion, same as now, could be expensive. Depends on how deep your pockets are if you want to really do it right. And so nowadays, recording can be cheap, packaging is nothing, a file, a distribution is nothing, advertising, you're still, that's the promotion is, if you got the budget, that's the way to do it. But the thing is, you know I discovered one thing is, the way to make a small fortune as a recording artist is to start with a large fortune. And
Hmm.
That kind of
because
helps, doesn't it?
Right.
break-
Right.
to break even, that's what I'm saying, to break even at all of the equipment you bought, the time. I had a professional mastering at the Hideout Studios in Las Vegas. I was fortunate to meet the people there, and the artwork, even just the website, your domain name and your hosting for the year. It's going to take some streams to pay for just that. So you know what that means, though. that means you better do what you love,
Right.
Right.
because that's what it. I wanted to say that today, because I think there are positives to being able to share your music, but to make a profit, yeah, the merchandising, yes,
It's a
or live
business.
shows, or
That's right.
Now
I
that's
know
where it's
guys.
really
I
at,
know
isn't
guys.
it?
Yeah.
Now, and again, referring back to a couple of our friends, they may be major artists, but the way they really make their ends is through merch.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and building a fan base, it like that's another thing, with all these people, to build a fan base, it's a trick, and it might happen over a longer period of time. I think, with people that have been around, we've only been around almost a year, and we don't have a big fan base that I know of. I don't know who is streaming and so forth, but I'm not getting tons of messages or anything like
well, you got
that,
two new fans right here.
and
You never
Well,
know where it's
thanks.
coming from. That's the whole interesting thing about what you're doing. You don't know who you're touching. And as you said earlier, if you can touch
That's right.
one individual, if you
That's
can
it.
make a significant difference in one individual's life with your song, you've accomplished your goal.
I agree 100%. And that's success. And there's many levels of success in music, to learn an instrument, to
Mm-hmm.
learn a song, to play it, to perform a song for people, or to record a song, to write a song. Those are all successes that you have accomplished something. And then if you decide, that you want to share it, and yes, if some people hear it, that's a success. And if you're thinking a Grammy is success, hey man, I wish you luck. That'd be
Right.
fantastic. That
Well,
would be fantastic.
Smooth said it
Yeah,
himself how things have changed because, like we all know, back in the day, the thing was getting signed, right? And then the company does
right.
most of the work.
Yes, right.
But right now, it's
It's on you.
independent. Independent. You are a business. You are a brand, and the social media is swarming with overnight sensations, copycats, all type of musicians out here. You don't feel threatened or intimidated by some of these new artists out here, do you?
No, not at all. I love every song that I put out. I took some of the best, and all those hundreds of songs that I wrote over the years. Thank God that some of them never made it out. you
Why?
know but there well, just I was experimenting, learning to write songs, and just writing and recording, and some of them, oh, there's a few that
You can
no, I
always
don't know.
revise and bring those into hits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. I used to have this formula back in those days, is that there was, okay, would you agree that there's a lot of stuff on the radio that is, let's say,
Junk?
Yeah.
Junk?
Crap.
thank you. I was looking for a nice word.
No, we can use
Okay,
junk.
Crap. I mean,
what
come
you
on,
do-
Jim. I mean,
Yeah, crap. That's what I was
mumble
thinking,
jumble.
crap.
I mean,
So,
we could go on that one.
oh man, yeah, a flaming pile of. Anyway, so yeah, so you write 100 songs, and you pick the 3 that you hate the most, and that's your demo tape. Can't lose.
Interesting.
The 3 that
philosophy.
are the most disgusting, crappy songs. That's your demo. Yeah.
That's cool.
You said something earlier, and I think it's kind of ironic, is when you're sitting there and you're learning music and you realize how many songs are like GCD. And it's like,
Right.
my God. And then you wonder how somebody like Ed Sheeran can get in trouble. Well, there's how many possibilities can I have with 3 frickin' chords?
Right.
I agree. Yeah, it would have to be a pretty exact match, I would think, for a copyright infringement.
for
It
real.
has to be just spot on. Yeah, you're right. If you look up the title to a song, somewhere that starts with love, there's 27 trillion of them,
Right.
that start with each word, and your title. Yeah, you might. That's the thing, to get a name for your project,
Ooh.
you need to make sure the domain is available,
Right.
right? So now you have to combine words that have never been combined
That's
before. if
interesting.
you're
I
gonna
never
get
really
lucky.
thought about that, Byron. Is how
That's
that
how
could be a struggle, even lyrically, so that you're not emulating other songs.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that probably could happen with the songs as well. Yeah.
So listen,
Um,
Byron, about the group of fantastic people worldwide. Do you think that everyone involved with this great album will maybe come together and do a tour? You know, like in this country, and just bring it live.
there would have to be some financial backer that stepped up for that to happen, or for some, viral, that the 7 billion stream song, or the viral hit, which I'm not counting on that. And I played so many live gigs over my life that I'm not excited about doing any four sets anymore. But the right kind of a concert, I love doing choreography
Mm.
and performing. Um, and then there's a song on our album called "The First Song." It's about putting in music on the internet for the first time, and it's got some humor in there as well. And it says maybe a song on a late night TV show, and that's about the extent of what I could see happening right now because of the expense.
You're right, right.
Um,
Yeah, that would be
of
quite
bringing everybody
expensive to pull
together.
in from all those countries. But you know what? You're a master. You were able to make it happen without going that route and coming out with a hit and promoting it out worldwide. So I definitely say that you're passionate about music for sure. But what else are you passionate about besides music?
Besides music, I live a pretty simple life right now, but I studied self help and spirituality over the years, and it's kind of a private thing with me. I have like minded friends sometimes, but I don't know everything. I don't push it on anybody, but I practice meditation uh, on a daily basis. I like to keep active, um, and I love art. I love sometimes when I'm traveling. I have some great friends that I keep in touch with over long distance. A number of real good friends, and but when I'm out solo, I meet some people locally and everything. But I feel that when I watch a movie, for example, that or I read a book or listen to an audio book, that person is my friend. That artist is sharing their heart, their thing with me, and I'm listening. I maybe don't get to say something back to them, but I appreciate that so much. It's like movies are like modern storytelling, and I love dancing. Um, I love to. I'm a fan of different styles of dancing. Um, yeah, and that's about it, really. I guess that I could think of offhand.
Well, great. But let me ask you this: of all the places that you've been, what tops the list? I've seen some pictures. You have
Wow.
some nice. You've been in some nice. That's a blessing to even be able to travel and do what it is that you do. Well, what tops the list?
It is. It is. It's hard to say, but when I worked on the cruise ships, we did a trip through the Panama Canal. We relocated from Florida to California on that ship, and it was a 12-day cruise. And going through the Panama Canal was pretty wild. Um, yeah, Machu Picchu in Peru is an old ruins, and I was on the. You can hike there on the Inca Trail in groups, and I did that back in 2001, and it was an amazing experience. There's a little something about it in my book called a chapter called "Enjoy Life," and I even mentioned that in one of my songs, a rap song that says, "The best advice that I ever received was from an old man when he looked at me and said, 'Enjoy life.'"
Amen.
And so Peru, Machu Picchu was pretty amazing.
Interesting. I'll only be able to see it if I go on YouTube,
Photographs.
yep, or check out your pictures. That's about where it's gonna go. But you mentioned the book. You've mentioned it numerous times. Tell everybody a little bit about the book and where they can go to obtain it.
At our website, harmonydreamers.com, there's a book page which would take you to amazon.com, where there's a digital version for 99 cents and a soft cover for 4.99. And It's actually my second book. It's condensed version, about 100 pages. The main part of the book can be read in about an hour. And balance your choices. It's really just about the choices that we all have and making priorities in different areas of life, and to be yourself, to be free to think and to choose and to do, to follow your heart as you learn. And balance is a never ending process. A lot of changes happen sometimes, and the balance changes. But so it's about understanding the choices that we have so that you can decide what you want to do with your time. And then it's also just about enjoying the journey along the way. I think I like the word contentment. I
Mm-hmm.
think everyone's looking for happiness. People are looking for happiness. And sometimes we go about it some crazy ways and we get lost and sidetracked. But that's really, I think we want happiness, but it doesn't have to be jumping around happy. And I love the word contentment. And then something that leads to contentment, I feel, is accepting where you are
Mm-hmm.
as you're moving ahead. And I just want to say that if there are people listening, I know this sounds real positive, and if you're going through like a real tough time, I've been down and beaten up by like five things at once, and I know what it feels like to be down real low. And it's sometimes you can't judge a book by the cover. You don't know what people are going through,
Right.
but those things are temporary. They pass, and you just got to keep trying. And that's why I say accept where you are while you're moving ahead. And so it's
I
about
like that.
enjoying the journey. It's about enjoying the journey, and then choosing what you want to do with your life.
Contentness, that's a good word. I like that word. I am content where I am. I'm in my lane doing my own thing. I'm happy. I love making a difference. You make a very, very big difference with your music and now your book to motivate people and let them know. But you just said you were going through like five things at one time. How'd you get through it? What was it that pulled you through it?
Wow, that's a good question. I think just keep going. So the best advice that I received back then from my mother was keep busy. And I didn't follow that for a while, when you lay around thinking too much, and I think I've learned now, maybe better than I knew back then, about being able to step back and watch your thoughts and be aware that your brain is just going through things. And so when if I'm stressing in the morning, I'll just get up and get going, and maybe some meditation or something. But if
Mm-hmm.
it's just some circular thoughts that just are just bothering me, once I get up, I actually enjoy myself. So why lay there for an hour when something is bugging you.
Right.
And so yeah, I think it just took time. I'm sure it had to just be talking to people. I think I had a favorite uncle that I would talk to on the phone back then, and some friends, to help you through it and just to talk you through it.
And that matters a whole
Um,
lot.
maybe, I guess, what else? My spiritual life, now that I think about it, I think some of the times when I'm most alone over the years, I've realized that that's always there for me, you know. Um, like I said, I don't have all the answers, but I've felt and experienced some pretty amazing things in my journey and in my meditations, and I think it's real. Um, and that has always probably been the most important thing when I think about it. It's the thing that's always there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's always consistent. And so, you know,
You know what?
lots of things are temporary.
Yes, it is. I personally, I take a situation and I like pull my body up from it, and I look at it in different situations. You know, I take a problem and I look at it in different ways before you make a response or react differently. And I
Yeah.
always keep a backup plan for everything. That keeps me from getting stressed or
Uh,
worried about something because I already got a backup plan on it. But before we get into the last song that we're going to showcase, what's your motto or your words to live by?
my words to live by. I think right now, I, I think it's three things right now is to be content and then also to appreciate what I do have and to be a kind person in all of my dealings and just interactions throughout my life. And those are the main things. And everything else, there's so many situations that pop up, throughout the way, throughout, and some, you just hope you can come up with the right way to deal with it. But being a kind person and spreading the love,
Good karma.
that's it.
Good karma brings good karma.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does. Well,
And I wanted to say, because I didn't get to say this yet,
mm-hmm.
you guys are both really awesome and beautiful.
Stop
Thank you very
it.
much.
Continue.
And I love what you do. I love what you do. Yeah.
Well, that
Yeah.
means a great deal to us. We thank you because we only do what we're aiming to do. And earlier you asked where we were. We are currently up in Ohio. We were down in Texas making our mark, and we won all the awards down there. They created an award for Smooth and myself, which is the Legacy Award at the radio station that we were on. But then we had to venture and move on to
Congratulations.
spread it.
And it all
other
started down in
places.
Dallas and then came up here. And
So we're temporarily up
What
in
a great
Ohio,
life.
and then we'll travel and go somewhere else.
we've talked to some of the most interesting people in the world. Literally.
Yes. Yes.
Literally.
Yes.
It's been a
Yes.
blessing.
It is.
Ah,
It is. It is. So listen,
I love Ohio.
do you really?
Ah,
I went to high school in Dayton, Ohio for
Oh.
8 years of my life.
oh, Dirty
Then I went to
Dayton.
Ohio State. Then I went to Ohio State for 2 years, and then back to Dayton to play music, and
Ah.
then went on the road after that. So
A Buckeye
Yeah, I
and a
still-
Dayton, huh? All right.
Well, have you heard of
I
Toledo,
still have
Ohio?
family.
We're in Toledo.
Pardon?
Have you heard of Toledo, Ohio?
Of course.
The Glass City.
Toledo.
That's where we are
Of
currently for
course.
just a moment. So you're more than welcome to pop on in anytime you want. Trust me, we could have a jam
Nice.
session because we got tons of music all around us. We
got stuff all
love
behind
music.
Come on, just grab one and start
Well,
playing.
if I get out there to visit family, I'll remember that. I'm going to be in Seattle when I come back, Seattle area.
Ah.
Yeah, thank you.
Keep me
for the
posted on
invitation.
anything that you're
Would
doing and
love
where
it.
you are. I will gladly share it out, Byron. Anything that you're doing, just let me know, and we will gladly pop it out.
I
But
will.
celebrating the
Well,
wonder of
nice.
life on Earth and the love of Earth receives from the sun that your pop song is entitled "Spinning Around the Sun." It's a trilogy. We're going to showcase part 1 and 2, but tell me about this trilogy.
Well, this one out when I was out in the travel trailer off grid is pretty amazing. That this song about the sun was written sitting in the sun on solar power. And I had just plugged in a brand new guitar synthesizer, Fishman Triple Play, it's called. And I was looking for a sound, and I saw one that had a reference to Jan Hammer, and who was my favorite musician, as I said. So I pulled it up, and then I was deciding, should I do a new song or one of my old tunes? And I decided a new one. And then the inspiration about the sun and how we receive light. Everyone in the world receives light and maybe love. And Nikola Tesla said, all life comes from sun energy, and we get it first, second, or third hand, which is pretty amazing. And one other thing I'll throw in that I've learned is that the sun is traveling through space at approximately 500,000 miles per hour, and we're following it in a spiral at the perfect distance, which is amazing, as are the other planets. And so we're definitely connected, as the first part says, and that's what that's about, is just being connected to the sun and receiving light, it says in the first verse, and life in the second verse, and love, perhaps, in the third verse. And then the second part, I decided I wanted to do a cinematic variation in part two. It's called Loving the Sun. So it's about sun worship. And I wanted to do kind of a primitive sounding mixed with electronics cinematic experiment. And those two songs have only three persons from the group on it, myself doing pretty much everything, and then Larry, my partner, on drums, a drum kit, and then Anna V from Russia, Perm Russia, who's on 5 tunes in the album, did the vocals. And I'll just say she's amazing. I love her. I love all the vocalists on the album, but Anna, I gave her free reign on part one, and she came back and said, I think all it needs is the octaves. I'm just going to leave it simple, which I was impressed. But then part two, when I did that, I had it pretty much arranged. I sent it to Anna, and she was sick in bed, and she couldn't sing, and she listened to it. She said she fell in love with it, and she listened to it for like a whole week and was imagining all of these parts. And her backup vocals on that song, all the female vocals, when you hear it, it's amazing. And so those three people are on the tune. Part three, I'll just throw in, which we're not going to hear today. Two of my best friends back in Seattle, Ken and Jan. I'd been sending them too many mixes when I was first recording to see what they thought. And mix number 14, I think it was, this part one was finished. And they said, yeah, we love it, but we'd like to, before you put the vocals on, also on mix number O2B. And I said, okay, so it's O2B or not O2B? That is the question. And so I decided to do an instrumental version since there were already two parts. And yeah, I guess that's about,
It's
I
great.
love my drummer, Larry. There's a lot of other percussion on this song as well that I did, but he loves this, and part two especially, more than any song on the album. And especially the ending, I'll just say that the very end of the song, there's something that has not been done too often by anyone. The last chord, it's pretty crazy, and I love it too. This is one of my.
Pretty
This would have been the
crazy, but
title
pretty
track.
good. You know.
This would have been the title track, except for that I Come From Earth came around, and humor won out over philosophy.
Okay.
It's great. You know, you're motivating me though, because I've talked to many songwriters, and I know that a song is a story, right? So I was trying, well, not trying, I have written a song. Don't shake your head, Smooth. But my problem is I didn't know how to turn the song off. So I kept saying, okay, now the song is a book or a documentary, but now see you, part one, part two, maybe I could make it a part one, part two, is what I'm thinking now, because I didn't know how to turn off a song. That's my problem when it comes to trying to write songs. But I don't know.
What do you mean turn off?
Well, to end the song, I'm constantly.
Oh, to end it.
Yeah, it
Oh,
started out great writing the song, but it seems like it's too long, and so I don't know how to
okay.
cut that song off. That's
Yeah.
seriously my
It's
problem.
good to leave. It's good to leave them wanting more sometimes, I think. And you know, I'll just say again, I was inspired by people to build a song, so I might leave it sparse in the beginning a little bit, and then start adding in maybe even guitar in the second verse, and then some strings come in, and then by the end, just keep trying to build it. And
Hey,
yeah, I've even like cut the third verse in half if it's too long.
well, I mean, they're not gonna
Uh,
look at me like they did Queen. They had a long one, but me, it's not gonna
well,
work.
that's okay too.
Right.
That's okay too. Do what you love, because you know anything goes, and better, yeah, do do it for the love.
That's right. So before I get into
I'm
spinning
sure you
around the
do.
sun, part one and two, tell everyone how
Mm.
you, Byron Lee Scott, can be followed on social media.
Harmony Dreamers is the name of the project, and if you remember that, It's everywhere, all the streaming platforms. Let's see, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Harmony Dreamers, website, harmonydreamers.com, or just Google Harmony Dreamers, and there's a lot of links and fun interviews and articles.
Cool.
Harmony Dreamers.
Cool. We try to spiff around certain things because our hopes is to have you back on the show and continue this saga of greatness that you do and provide for the world. But I hope that you enjoyed yourself for the first time here on the Queen Silvy Show. We're looking for so much more. We don't have time to pop in some of our icebreaker games because we do games and things amongst people. Tim, did you want to try him on one? Yeah. So let's do Spinning Round the Sun, Part 1, Part 2. And when we get back, we'll close it out. Thanks so much, Brian Lee Scott.
Very good.
Thank you so much. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Well, indeed.
That was fabulously done well.
Yeah, video was cool.
It was great. I
Music
love
was
it.
really good. The video
I
was
love
super
it.
cool, too.
I love it. Multi-talented Byron Lee Scott doing it all over the world, making the impact, and we all need that. We all need the music, everything. Please go and follow this guy. He is everywhere. Googleable. Go to harmonydreamers.com, if you will, and get the album I Come From Earth. Get all the music engulfing all the greatness and share it out, if you will, because it is so much needed in this world today. We are going through so much, but there's so many that's doing some positive, great things and
He's
spreading it out. And yes, indeed,
Thank you,
Byron
Byron.
Scott is definitely one. Hats off to you, my friend. So, with that said, Smooth, how can we be followed?
We also are Googleable, so simply Google us. And if you would want, top of the screen, www.thequeensilvershow.com or YouTube, The Queen Silver Show. Easiest way to find us.
That's right. That's right. Hey, I appreciate you taking the time being here on this terrific Tuesday. Look for tomorrow. Wonderful Wednesday and Tim's Tidbits with special co-host Larry E. out of Dallas, Texas. That's in the evenings. 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. Do check your time zones, but it doesn't stop there. Join us Thursday for the Now You Know Show with Queen Silvy and Smooth Tim, bringing you encouraging, inspirational, motivating, funny, spiritual. It's impactful with super greatness from wonderful kings and queens all over the world, bringing it from the heart just for you. And that is in the evenings as well. 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. And again, do check your time zones. So, you know, Queen Silvy only had a cup of tea, and I'm ready to go and smash my face.
You angry?
Ooh, I'm ready to go smash. So with that said, go out and enjoy your day. Make the most of your day. And
Till next week. Same Queen time, same Queen station. We'll holla.
hi, I'm Queen Silvy of the multiple award-winning The Queen Silvy Show. You want to expand and get noticed? Then come outside your box and into our world. Internet advertising has a real impact on global awareness and even sales, so let's make an impact together. Offering for a limited time advertising and sponsorship packages that excel your purpose. So contact Queen Silvy or Smooth Tim for the exciting opportunities that awaits. Yeah.